Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the OP23 Sports Network. I am your host, Orlando. I just want to go over this week, the week two predictions for this week's games coming up. So, what we're going to start off going is we're going to go by the Thursday night games, so the 1 o'clock games on Sunday, and then 4:05, 4:25, and Monday night games, just to give you guys a little preview of what I think my opinion is on these games. And just to refer to everybody, this is my opinion. You can get mad and happy all you want, but this is my opinion. If you guys want to comment below and give me your um, opinions on these games coming up, go ahead, let me know. I do want to see what you guys think. So here we go. So with the first game of the week, we have the New York Giants versus Washington, a divisional game which is going to be very questionable. I think this East Divisional is going to be very competitive. I think after seeing the Eagles taking control of Atlanta, I think people underestimate Philadelphia right now because of Jalen Hurts and their coaching staff, but they do have a great defense. They did shut down Matt Ryan, and Matt Ryan has been one of the best quarterbacks for Atlanta, but he hasn't had that much help throwing games away or trying to win games. So what I think with Washington and New York, I think this game will be very competitive. I think these teams are trying to get their first win because Washington did lose against the Chargers, which was a very close game. We do know that Ryan Fitzpatrick did get hurt in that game, and we know that Taylor Heineke did come back and try to do his magic, but sadly they did lose against the Chargers by one. I think it was 17-16, I believe, was the final score. So yeah, and then the Giants, they did end up losing to Denver, which was very surprising to me. I did not expect Denver to beat the Giants. It was a weird game in my opinion. I was just like, wow. I was very confusing. Oh, and Washington did lose 20-16. My apologies. So here's the thing. If the Giants can get their situation going, I think they can be a good defender in the East. But when you see the Cowboys in there and then the Eagles and then the Washington football team, I do think Washington will win this game. I will give it to them because of their defense and Ron Rivera. Ron Rivera does know how to bounce back after a loss, and I think Taylor Heineke should be the quarterback of this football team. Not saying Fitzpatrick isn't the type, but Fitzpatrick, I don't think he's that leader that they want. I don't think, in my opinion. I think Taylor Heineke, after showing the playoffs against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, what he did, I think that should show that he deserves to be there. And he is very athletic. He can run. He can throw really well. If he just has that support from the offensive line, I think he'll be fine. I think the Redskins do have some type of weapons there. I just think if they put it together now and stop trying to rebuild, they do have a good chance. They have a great defense front four with Chase Young. They're very young, and I think they do have a good chance. So I think Washington does win this game. I think they win it by like maybe 3 points. I think the final score will be 21-18. I think, in my opinion, Washington does win this game on Thursday night. It starts at 8:20, so I think Washington will win this game. So now we go to Sunday at the 1 o'clock games. There are a total of nine 1 o'clock games. So we're going to go to the first one, and it will be New England versus the Jets. So both teams are both 0-1. They are both in the East Division, AFC East. And right now, the AFC, if you look at it, Miami is the only team that's number one, and that is very, very rare. The teams that I thought would win would be New England and Buffalo, but Buffalo sadly did not finish the job against Pittsburgh, which was very weird because of Josh Allen and what the AFC East was supposed to be like this year. But it's just very weird seeing Miami 1-0. So now we go to New England. At New York Jets, I think this will be a competitive game. The Jets did lose against the Carolina Panthers. It was a close game. It was 19-14. Um, I think the Jets could win this game, but I do not trust the Jets as much as I do Bill Belichick and Mac Jones of the Patriots. I think the Patriots will bounce back after losing um, this past week. And the Patriots did lose against the Dolphins 17-16. But I do think Mac Jones did a great job against Miami. He didn't do too much. He didn't try to um, be the hero. He was just doing what he was told. And I think if Mac Jones does continue to do that, he will improve. And so will the Patriots. And I think New England does get the win here. I think they win by 10, in my opinion. I think the score will be 10-21, I think, maybe. Or maybe 13-24. I think that's my opinion in the game, so I'm going to give New England the win here. Second game that we're going to go by is Denver versus Jacksonville. All right, so here is a game that I really think will show that Denver does belong. And Jacksonville, I think they have more years to develop. Urban Meyer, he looked really sketchy against the Houston Texans, even with their whole situation over there. Um, Urban Meyer does look like he needs some help, in my opinion. So I do like Trevor Lawrence, but he did throw 3 picks, and that will not help, in my opinion. But if he does get that lower, maybe they could be a great contender in a couple years. But I do think Denver right now, they had a great defensive scheme. They did very well against the Giants. I mean, I get it, it is the Giants, but they did do very well, and I do think Denver does come out 2-0, and I think they do stay on a good start in the West, and the West is a tough division. And if they do want to stay up with the Raiders, the Chiefs, and the Chargers, they do have to win against these games. And if it's a close game, I do think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a 5 point margin. I think it's going to be a high scoring game with both offenses. And I think the score will be 31-25, in my opinion, and Denver will pull out with the win. Okay, so the third game is Buffalo against Miami. This is going to be a good game because it's in the East Division. Both teams. I think this will show who will be number one. I don't necessarily think Buffalo is out. I think they still are a great team, but Miami is showing that it doesn't matter who you are. We're still gonna play. Miami was, I think, in my opinion, was a playoff team last year, but unfortunately they did not go because the AFC was just too good. And Buffalo, they did not surprise me week one. That I thought they would come out guns blazing and they would do well against Pittsburgh's defense, but they did not. Stephon Diggs, he did all right. I think he could have done better. The running game for Buffalo, I think, needs to get better just so they can open up some play action. Maybe, try different things. They continue to do the same things over and over again with throwing with Josh Allen, which is fine. But if the throwing's not working and you guys aren't scoring, I mean, you have to win that game against Pittsburgh to show that, hey, that Josh Allen wants to be the next MVP. And they did lose 23-16, and I think the Bills are better than that. They should be scoring at least 30 points a game, in my opinion, because they have so much weapons with Diggs, and Allen just shows that MVP status. And here is going to be a good game. I think, in my opinion, it's going to be very competitive. It is at Miami, which is going to be a huge difference for Buffalo since they are up north. It's very cold, but for the majority of the time. But they are in Miami, and right now Tua did do very well against New England's defense. They did outscore them. They did get the win. Um, and I think if you play against New England's defense like that, you can do well. It's going to be a very close game. Um, Sadly, I do not see Miami pulling out the win. I think this is Buffalo's revenge game after losing to Pittsburgh. And I think this will be a 2 point game or maybe an overtime game hitting, or in my opinion, I think Buffalo wins by 1. I think the score will be high scoring. I think it will be 35-33. I think Buffalo gets the win. They get the first win of the season, and I don't think Miami will go 2-0 just because of the division and how tough it is. I think if Miami pulls it together, maybe it could be, but I do think Buffalo is the better team. Next game we have is San Francisco 49ers versus Philadelphia Eagles. Now, this is interesting because both teams are 1-0, both great offenses, both great defenses. I didn't expect Philadelphia to come out with that much power against the Falcons, which was very weird. I thought they just dominated top to bottom. Jalen Hurts looked like he looked amazing. I've never seen Eagles quarterback look that well. It was against the Falcons defense that is kind of shapy, with them scoring 32 off of the Falcons, which was very impressive in my opinion. I didn't think that the Eagles defense would have done that well, but they did do well. They did do a good job. Then San Francisco, they did play the Lions 41-33, and San Francisco did do a great game with Jimmy Garoppolo. He did very well, I think, in my opinion. He didn't want to do too much, and I think they did enough just to win the game. They did set out their defense near the end of the game just to show, hey, we're done. We won the game against Detroit. This game, I think it will be a high-scoring game. I think this will come down to the defenses, like a fourth quarter stop. I think towards the end, I think it'll be a 2-minute drill coming towards the end. I do want to give the edge to Philadelphia, but I think with Jimmy G and how they're looking, I think they look very well. I do want to give the edge to Philadelphia, but I think with San Francisco's defense, with the inexperience of Jalen Hurts, I think this will show that San Francisco does look better than Philadelphia at the end. I think it will be a 3-point game they will be winning. I think the score will be 33-30. San Francisco pulls out the win. Next game we got Green Bay against we have New Orleans against Carolina. So this game right here. So now with the South, like I told you, this is the divisional game. Right here in the South, we got Tampa Bay, New Orleans, Carolina. 1-0. Right here, I think these two teams will show who's better, and I think whoever wins more in division will win. These two are going to be very close. Tampa Bay and New Orleans going to be a close division. You should not count New Orleans out. They looked dominant against Green Bay. They really did very well. Carolina did play the Jets. The Jets, I think, are very questionable, but Carolina did get the win, so I'll give them that. But New Orleans, if you see that defense, it is terrifying right now at the start of the season. If they can keep that going for the rest of the year, I think they'll be great without causing too much injuries. Stephon Gilmore, wow, he just got an extension for New Orleans. He's going to be good for his defense. Winston, I think this is what Sean Payton wanted for years. He wanted a quarterback that can throw the long ball. Not saying Drew Brees couldn't, but his arm was very reduced a lot because of his arm strength. But Jameis Winston does give the Saints, I think, a little bit of hope, just showing that they're not out of it, that they can go more into the playoffs, go deeper, because Winston, he didn't do too much. He had 5 touchdowns, but nowhere close to 200 yards. With this defense, I think if they do very well, I do give the Saints the win. I think they do demolish Carolina by 13 points. I think Jameis Winston does throw a high-scoring 4 touchdowns, maybe. I give him. The defense will, I think, cause a lot of takeaways, a lot of fumbles against Carolina's offense. I just think New Orleans is the better team right now. New Orleans, I think, gets the win 35-20, in my opinion. I just think New Orleans looks way too good. With New Orleans, they did demolish Green Bay. Like I said, it was 38-3, and I think they could put 30 more points up there against New Orleans, Carolina. So the next game, we got the Rams and Indianapolis. This game right here. Okay, so the Rams, we just saw them, and wow. They did very well with Matthew Stafford, and Matthew Stafford I didn't think would get going this early. His first drive, he threw a 60-something bomb, and he got his first touchdown of the season. He did do very well fantasy points wise. He did awesome. Um, Indianapolis, they did lose against Seattle. Carson Wentz, he did look shaky at first, but he did look like he was getting it together against Seattle towards the end. But it's just weird. I do not see in Indianapolis pulling out the win here in LA against LA. The Rams defense with Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald, Sean McVay and his offense. I think they can get something going early with Matthew Stafford. I think Matthew Stafford was the key. They were looking for to unlock this offense. I'm not saying Jared Goff was bad, but I think Matthew Stafford was better and is the cure for this Rams offense. I think it's what it needed to spark some things. So I think the Rams defense will hold Carson Wentz. I think they'll get a lot of pressure on him, and I think the Rams will win by 7, in my opinion. I think the score will be maybe high scoring, in my opinion. I think it's going to be 27-20. I think the Rams do get the edge here, so I'll give them the win. The next game we got is the Raiders against Pittsburgh right here. So both teams 1-0. I did not expect the Raiders to beat Baltimore. I thought Baltimore was a top 5 team, maybe 6. But now when you see the games, now it's like Buffalo did lose against. They did lose against the. Who did they lose against? Bills did lose against the Steelers. Exactly. So right here was just very weird. I thought Baltimore was better than them, and I thought Buffalo was better than the Steelers. So right here is going to be a very close game. I think it's going to be a great matchup. I think with Ben Roethlisberger, Derek Carr, it's going to be a great game. Defenses are going to go crazy. I think they're going to go wild and berserk. To me, just because it's at Pittsburgh, I do think Pittsburgh will get the win. I think it'll be by 3, and I think the Raiders do come down to a last-minute field goal, and I think they do miss it. Wide left, maybe wide right, or just too far. I do think Pittsburgh does get the win here. I think the score will be not too high. I think it'll be like a 23-20 game. I think Pittsburgh does get the win against the Raiders. So right here, the next game we got is the Bengals against the Bears. Wow. So the Bears did get really monkey stopped by the Rams, and the Bengals did surprise me by beating Minnesota. So the thing here is Cincinnati, Joe Burrow. He looks great. He looks really good. If he just continues the way he's doing and gives these Bengals the hope in Ohio, I do not see a reason why they can't beat the Bears. The Bears are kind of shaky. I think Justin Fields will actually start. I like Andy Dalton, but sadly, I think his time is up. In my opinion, it's time to push Andy Dalton out of the way, get Justin Fields a shot, and Justin Fields did do a good job on his first possession as a Bear. I think this will be a great game, but sadly, I do give the edge to Cincinnati. I just think that they're clicking right now, and I think they're going to carry that momentum into Chicago. But I do think it's either way here. I'm not giving points on who I think will win. If either team wins, it's going to win by 2 or win by 1. I do think it's going to be a close game. Maybe it could be high scoring, not over 30 points in my opinion. I do think they will combine a total of 40 points, 20-20. I do think the score will be maybe 16-17 or 17-18, with a 2-point conversion, in my opinion. Either way, I do think Chicago could win, and I do think Cincinnati can win, but I'm going to give the edge to Cincinnati. Next game we got is Houston versus Cleveland. Surprisingly here, I did not expect Houston to go 1-0, and look, they are 1-0 in their own division in the South, which I thought Tennessee and Indianapolis would be 1-0, but no, they are not. So Houston being 1-0, this is a good advantage to show that they are back and they belong. With the whole Deshaun Watson story going on with him, I have no idea what drama he's trying to do, but I do think Houston is a team to be reckoned with. I mean, they were in the playoffs not even 3-4 years ago, and they just a lot of drama happened, and here, I think Cleveland is a great team. They are, in my opinion, a top 7 team, right behind the Ravens. Um, I do think Houston could put up a good chance against Cleveland. Cleveland does have a great defense. Remember that Houston, they did play Jacksonville. I don't think Jacksonville was that great. Tyrod Taylor did do a good job. He showed his athletic abilities running on the field, and he did throw the ball very well. So I do like Tyrod Taylor. He's a great player. I'll give him that. He's been in the league for so long. But I think the team winning here is Cleveland. Cleveland, I think, comes out with Baker Mayfield and Odell, and I think they show out towards the third quarter, maybe fourth, coming out pulling away against Houston. I think it'll be close going in the half, and I think that Cleveland will just pull away at the end. I think it'll be a 10-point game. I think Cleveland will win 30-20, in my opinion. Yeah, because it's at Cleveland. I think Cleveland will get the win and get that. They will start to finally find themselves after losing against Kansas City, and I do think that they should have won against Kansas City, but Cleveland does get the win here, in my opinion. All right, so now we're going to move to our 4 or 5 games. There's 2 of them. It is Minnesota versus Arizona and Atlanta versus Tampa Bay. So we got Minnesota versus Arizona, which is right here. So right here, I think good matchup. It's NFC games right here. Arizona did look good, very well. You got Hopkins looking very good. Murray did look very well. He looked, wow, I did not expect Arizona to do that well against Tennessee. Tennessee, I thought, would look better because of how they hyped them up in the preseason. I expected Tennessee to look. I expected Tennessee to put up more of a fight, but they didn't, just because of how much their trio was, with Julio Jones coming to Tennessee. And I think it was all hype. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. But Arizona just proved that it doesn't matter who Tennessee is, that they were going to beat them. So Arizona, I think, does get the win here. Minnesota, I have no idea what was going on with them. They did lose against Cincinnati. I really thought Dalvin Cook would have had a great game running on the field. But he didn't, and I just think that Minnesota looked off, and I think they will look off again. I just don't think their defense will catch up with Murray and Hopkins and the Cardinals. So I'll give the Cardinals the win. I think it will be a 7-point game. I think Arizona will get the final drive and probably score, maybe, in my opinion, maybe game winning. It's going to be a close game. I do think that the score will be 24-30. Arizona does get the win towards the end and holds Minnesota at the end. So I think Arizona gets the win. Next game is Atlanta versus Tampa Bay. Now here is, I think, Tampa Bay will find that the turnovers that they did and the flags that they did against Dallas will show in this game. They will not cause penalties. They will not let fumbles ruin their game or interceptions. Both interceptions by Tom Brady, I don't think was his fault. One was a Hail Mary. One was by Leonard Fournette that tipped off his hands. Tampa is a great team. They are 1-0. Atlanta is 0-1. Atlanta did lose against the Eagles. Very dominant game. But for some reason, as a divisional game right here, it's always a tough game. Last year, Atlanta did put a great fight against Tampa Bay at Atlanta, but this one is in Tampa. And I do think the Buccaneers can improve in this game as well. I think it will be a rerun of Philadelphia and Atlanta. I think the Bucs will just try and find everybody, find Antonio Brown, find Rob Gronkowski. Hopefully get Mike Evans a couple more touches. Mike Evans did not get a lot of touches against Dallas. I'm not sure what was going on there, and I think that Rojo and Fournette will have a good running game here against Atlanta's defense. Just because Rojo did fumble, I don't think it's the end of the world. I think he does deserve more carries. One carry doesn't define a running back, but sadly in that game it did. But I think Tampa Bay does win here by 14. In my opinion, I think it will be a high-scoring game for Tampa Bay. I think the Bucs will sit out their starters towards the end of the fourth quarter. I do think the score will be 35-24. 23, maybe 24. The Bucks, I just look like, will come together in this game. They will try to erase the memory of takeaways and flags, and hopefully just put it together. Atlanta, they're still rebuilding, in my opinion. Matt Ryan, I love Matt Ryan. He played at Boston College. He did very well there, but it's just that like nothing's falling for him. Losing Julio Jones, the defense they had a couple years ago when they lost against New England, they lost it all, a lot of injuries, and now I just don't think Atlanta's much a contender right now to play anybody. But I wouldn't count them out. I do think Atlanta still is a great team, but I just don't think they'll beat Tampa Bay. They have a great defensive scheme with tall bulls. I think they'll do very well. So Tampa does get the win. I think they go 2-0, and them and the Saints will have a big next week, Game 3. And the next game is the 425 games. We have two of them, Tennessee versus Seattle, and then Dallas versus the Chargers. So right now we are going to these two games right here. So now we got Dallas versus the Chargers. Here's the thing. Dallas did very well against Tampa Bay. Dak Prescott looked well. He looked better than I thought he did. Dallas really surprised a lot of people. And just because they lost that game doesn't mean they lost. I think the record shows they lost, but I think morality is that they did show that they are back. They, in my opinion, are a great team. They have a great defensive coordinator in Dan Quinn. He does look like he knows what he's doing. I think they did very well against Tampa. Justin Herbert with the Chargers, they did very well. They did win. They are 1-0 for a reason, and they did beat Washington. They did beat a great defense in Ron Rivera. Here, I think it'll be a great game. I think it'll be a high-scoring game just because of Dak Prescott and Justin Herbert. You will see more passing yards in this game. Maybe a couple more touchdowns. Maybe Dak gets 3, Herbert gets 3, or they both get 4. I think they'll both be running back and forth. Zeke Elliott, I think he will run more in this game just because Tampa's front defense, wow, they just stopped him, made him look silly in my opinion. This will be more of, I think, both teams should show some more skills, like screen passes to the receivers, maybe running backs, maybe try trick plays, try something different. Here, I do think Dallas will get the win against the Chargers just because I think Dak Prescott does not want to lose anymore. He wants to show everybody he's back and he's doing well. Justin Herbert, I do like him. I do think the Chargers do look well, and I do think they will be a playoff contender, in my opinion. I just don't think they'll beat Dallas right here. I think Dallas is very excited to play. I think they're really wanting to start winning now. I think they understand, like, okay, you know what? We can do this. And I do think Dallas wins by 4. I think they will win if they just stop missing field goals. If they made a couple more field goals against Tampa, I think they could have won that game. But sadly, they didn't. I think Dallas will win by 4. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think it's going to be 40-35, 40-36. It will be a high-scoring game just because of these quarterbacks. I do give the edge to Dallas, though. Next game, we have Seattle against Tennessee. This will be a good game, I think. Just for Tennessee to come back after losing embarrassingly against the Cardinals. They did get whooped, I would say. Seattle, wow, they looked very good. They looked well. They did well against the Colts. Russell Wilson, I really thought his arm strength was gone, but after seeing a couple plays he did and a long bomb he did, he looks good. He looks surprising. I think Seattle is a contender. I think they do look like they can make the playoffs. The only questionable thing is when they play the Rams twice and the 49ers and Arizona, this is going to be a tough division. The West is the toughest division right now. They are all 2-0, or I think they will be all 2-0. I think Seattle does get the win here, in my opinion. They win by 10 or 9, in my opinion. I think that Seattle goes down the field in the fourth quarter with a field goal to secure the victory. I think the final score would be 30-22, in my opinion. I think Seattle does get the win here, but with this West Division, it's going to be very crucial when these teams match up in their own bittersweet because they do play each other twice. All of them do. And it's going to be fun to watch when Seattle plays the Rams, the Cardinals, and the 49ers. It's going to be good games, in my opinion. They all want to see who's the best in the West, and I think that whoever does win the most here will be the winner. And Seattle has been number one, but I think things will change in the West. So we'll see how that goes. And the last two games, we have a Sunday night game, Kansas City against Baltimore. This will be a good game. I think that Lamar Jackson will come out playing. I didn't think he did too bad last night against the Raiders. I just that overtime came and the Raiders scored and they didn't. Kansas City, I like Kansas City. I like Patrick Mahomes. I like his abilities. I like Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. It's just like they get open for some reason. They always get open. They always do. And Kansas City, they did look a little edgy in my opinion against the Browns. I think the Browns were the better team in that game. You know, starting off top to bottom, 15-6, going, and then Mahomes just came back 10-15. But Cleveland did have that whole game against Kansas City. Kansas City, I'm not saying that they're shaky. They are a great team, but they always tend to throw a lot. And I think if Baltimore's defense can hold Kansas City can go 1-1. And I think that if Kansas City does take control of that defense against Baltimore, they can go 2-0. I think this game can go either way. I think Baltimore could win. I think Kansas City can win. But early in the season, watching Baltimore lose, um, I think this is a momentum game. You know, Baltimore was at Oakland, so this is at Baltimore. This will be a very good Sunday night game to watch, in my opinion. It's at 8:20. Um, it's gonna be a good game, in my opinion. I do want to give the edge to Kansas City, just because I think they'll come back at the end somehow, just like the Raiders did against Baltimore. I think Kansas City will come back with Patrick Mahomes having a wide open Travis Kelce or Hill open at the end. I think it's just going to be a crazy game going back and forth. It is going to be a high scoring game. Both quarterbacks will run on their legs a lot. Lamar Jackson will run a lot, in my opinion. I do think the score will be really high. I think it'll be like it was and a couple years ago when the Chiefs played the the Rams. Yeah, I think it's gonna be that type of game. I do think it's gonna be close. It's gonna be a 1 point game. I do think Kansas City gets the win. It will be 38, 35, maybe 36. Kansas City does get the win here, in my opinion. So now we go to Monday night's game, Green Bay against Detroit. Now, Green Bay looks sloppy. Detroit looks sloppy. But both teams are in the same division. They are in the NFC North. All these teams are 0-1. Now, this is weird because I expected Green Bay to be up here and Minnesota to be up here, but I do not think Minnesota will win this game coming up against Arizona. Um, Detroit, I do like Jared Goff. I do like him, but Green Bay, it's Green Bay, man. It's Aaron Rodgers. But if Detroit can pull up the win, they do have a lot of weapons. Detroit has a great amount of weapons. They have to use them right. That defense has to shape it up a little more. They can't let out 40 points, the way they did, against San Francisco. Aaron Rodgers is a big threat. I like Aaron Rodgers, but he has not played a lot of preseason, and it showed against the Saints. When you don't play a lot, you don't see a lot, you don't work with your offensive line, you don't work with your receivers, that can be a problem. Against a great team like Sean Payton, they were not prepared. But I think Green Bay will look more into Detroit, and I think Green Bay will get the win and show why they are the best team in the North, in my opinion. And I think Green Bay does get the motivation to come back and say, you know what, I think we need to start winning. This is our division. We need to show why we're number one. I think they do win by 5, in my opinion. I just think that the Lions will somehow, just because it's a night game, I do think the Lions will show like that we can fight too, in my opinion, that they belong, like they did against the 49ers. They came back. Um, I think the score will be 35-30. Aaron Rodgers will get the win here for Green Bay. So yeah, these are my picks here going into week 2 for this year's NFL week schedule. So if you look at the schedule here, you look at the teams right here at AFC North. You got Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, followed up with Cleveland and Baltimore. I did not expect that. I this is just my opinion, also, guys. So if you guys look at it, they think things will change. It's only the second game of the season. They can start losing. They can start winning. Anything can happen. Here in the South, this is kind of controversial. Um, I do think Tennessee can pull out the win here in the South. It's just very hard, in my opinion. It's just a weird division right here in the South, AFC South. This is going to be a tough division, AFC East with Buffalo and Miami and New England. These three teams are going to beat up each other a lot when they face each other. But yeah, and then here in the West, it's going to be a good division. I like the Chargers, I like the Raiders, and I like Denver, and I like the Chiefs. Right here, it's going to be these three teams: the Chiefs, the Raiders, and the Chargers. It's going to be great games, in my opinion. It's going to be great watching them face each other. Right here, we're going to go to the opposite side, to the NFC West, where all teams, I think, are going to be 2-0 after week 2. San Francisco, Arizona, Los Angeles Rams, and then the Seahawks. It's going to be great. It's going to be good because I think the West is one of the toughest divisions right now in the NFC. I think these teams are top threat to Tampa Bay and Green Bay. If Green Bay does get their act together, they could be a big threat. Maybe all four teams go into playoffs. You never know. With the standings going on, if they dominate other teams from their other schedules except their own division, I think it's going to be a great season for the West. Now we move to the East. Washington, Philadelphia, and Dallas. I do think the Giants will not show much, but if they can pull off a couple wins towards the end against these teams, whoever needs to get in, I think Dallas can win the division. I think they can. They have a great team. They're showing why they belong against Week 1 against Tampa Bay. I think if they just pull out the win and stop um, celebrating too early, I think that's what they did. They celebrated too early, knowing that it's Tom Brady towards the end. But they just need to pull out the victory. They need to execute. They need to go in the red zone, score more. You need to score touchdowns. You can't just score field goals. Field goals are only good to a certain amount of point. Washington's defense will be a crucial against all these teams. Philadelphia, I think, can be a surprise one. They can surprise a lot of people with Jalen Hurts and show maybe they are back as well. But I do think Dallas will win this division. Maybe Philadelphia can surprise and win it too. You just never know with this division right here. Here in the South, now this is kind of controversial with the Saints and Tampa Bay. Carolina, Atlanta, I do not see them doing well. I think they're still rebuilding. I think they're trying to show like we're trying to do well, but I don't think they will do as well. Tampa Bay, they do have one of the easiest schedules. New Orleans has a tough schedule. Um, it's going to be a big test. If New Orleans can pull out the um, big schedules against these great teams with Jameis Winston in their defense, I think they can do very well. They can still win the South. You never know. Without Drew Brees, maybe they could be the best seed, number one seed. You just never know. Tampa Bay, Tom Brady, and the Bucks with Bruce Arians. I like their scheme. They have an easy schedule. The third week they do play the Rams and then New England. It's going to be two big road games ahead of them. So we'll see how that goes. It's going to be a good South Division with these two teams when they face each other on Halloween, and I'm not sure when the other game is, but I'll figure it out when we talk next. Here in the North, Minnesota, I think, needs to get the act together. If they get the act together, they can be number 2 seed again. Detroit, I don't think they're as great. Chicago, I have no idea what is going on with them. Green Bay, they just got to get over the drama. I mean, they need to start winning. If they want to get back to the Super Bowl, they need to stop doing that. They need to get together and just say that's enough. I mean, like, it is enough. Like, they need to stop that. It clearly is. But this is my opinion for week 2, guys. If you have anything you guys want to say, hit the comments down below. Make sure you subscribe. I will start doing more videos coming up. I will try to do the week 1 recap coming soon. If you guys want to check that out, I will try to do week to week predictions and hopefully power rankings. Still trying to adjust with this stuff right here, but if you guys want to check out, this is Playoff Predictors. I'll put the link down below so you guys can try it yourselves. You can try your own bracket, see who you think is the better team. It's up to you guys. It's very fun. I play with it a lot. I got my parents involved with it. It's very fun. So yeah, you can do the current standings and see how that looks here if it loads. But yeah, so if you guys want to try it, you're more than welcome to. I hope you guys hit the like, hit the subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.